When Childe was first released, he was considered one of the best DPS in the game, and at the time of his release, the best DPS in the game was Diluc. So it was a very different time. Kaching was still a very viable option. Beta was still like one of the best DPS in the game. Her counter was considered broken. So when Childe released, he was considered either the best DPS or the second best DPS. Now, a lot has changed since he's released. I don't know when he released. I think it was like 1.2, 1.3. Either way, it was a very different time when he released. Now, as you can see now in the current game state of Genshin, especially Diluc is far from the best DPS in the game currently. Now, this is a kind of different video where I kind of want to discuss about this topic. So, Childe, I feel like he's one patch away from getting completely nerfed. Not really nerfed in the sense, in the regular sense of like getting like nerfed, like reducing damage, but where people will stop using him. Now, what I mean by that is, you look at the prior class. Diluc has been outclassed pretty much a long time ago. Hu Tao release, he got outclassed. Everyone knows that Hu Tao is a better Diluc, right? And it's clear that Diluc is not even the best DPS in the game or the best Pyro DPS because Hu Tao is taking the mantle. Now, as we can see, Diluc has far passed the best DPS in the game, and we all know that. We all know Diluc is nowhere near how good he was in the beginning of Genshin. But now we have to take a look at Childe, right? Childe is still, people consider a really good DPS, or some people consider a fun DPS now, right? Everyone likes using Childe. He's a very fun player to use, but right now people are still using him, right? And it doesn't look good for Childe right now. Spiral Abyss has pretty much like nerfed him in terms of usability, because you look at the Abyss Herald, they have pretty much made Childe a not very great option for the Spiral Abyss. Maybe for like the first and third floor, but it's kind of hard to bring Childe into the Spiral Abyss now because, there's a lot of water opponents that, he can't do anything against, right? So Childe is slowly kind of getting nerfed by Genshin game state. Now, if you really think about it, yeah, Childe is still a very fun character to use, and I myself am a Childe main. I love Childe. I use Childe every single day. He's my favorite character in the game. But as you see, he's slowly kind of getting nerfed. Now, if they release a Hydro DPS at the level of a Hu Tao, at the level of a Ganyu, or you can even say of a level of Zhongli, Childe becomes irrelevant in the game. No one's going to be using Childe once they have that Hydro DPS. I really feel that Tartaglia, or Childe, whatever you want to call him, is hanging on by a thread. The Hydro class is very not useful. Barbara never gets used. Mona obviously gets used, but she is kind of outclassed by, Bennett. More people would tend to bring Bennett in than they would bring Mona in. So you can obviously see the Hydro class is not the greatest thing. The only thing that's kind of really carrying it is Childe and Xingqiu. Xingqiu just has, great elemental resistance, good healing, pretty much good everything. He's a really good Hydro character to bring Hydro support. He's really like a Hydro carrier, right? And Childe, the reason why Childe is still hanging on by a thread is because he is the only Hydro main DPS. He's a very fun character to play. Everyone likes Childe. He's really cool. He looks cool. He plays cool. But once they add another, what room is there for Childe? Now you can say the same thing for Diluc. Oh, but like Diluc got passed by Hu Tao. Diluc got passed by Ganyu. Diluc got passed by Zhongli. But the thing is, Diluc is a Pyro. Pyros are like the most broken characters in the game because they can do Vaporize, they can do Melt, they can do a lot of things, right? They have great elemental reactions. Childe, he does have Vaporize. Vaporize, obviously one of the best, elemental reactions, but he doesn't have anything else. Like, obviously, that's a great elemental reaction. Everyone loves that elemental reaction. That's the thing why, Childe can still be viable nowadays. But if you look at Childe, he's one patch away for get another Hydro DPS, or if there's just gets like more Electro, more Pyro, more like Animal, the more times they give him they give other classes better DPS, Childe is slowly becoming irrelevant. While Diluc, he's a Pyro class. He can always, still be viable because he's Pyro. He has all the great elemental reactions and he can still be viable. He has good, discording with his ult. He has just a good moveset in general. Childe, he's already limited if you don't have him, if you're free to play, right? Most people don't have, like C6 Childe with, unlimited, E. Most people only have the 30 seconds of the E. So that's already limited. A burst DPS, you have already to carry a sub DPS, right? Now you look at Ganyu, you look at Hu Tao, you look at even Zhongli. Those are all valuable options for a main DPS. Now the thing is, once there's another Hydro DPS introduced into the Hydro class, Childe pretty much gets like neutralized. There's not really anything Childe can do to still be on top, because Diluc has his Vaporize, he has all the great kit, he's undoubtedly a good character in general, but Childe is pretty much a burst DPS. Once there's a Hydro character that can out damage him, he's not really useful anymore, because all like his kit is pretty much like gone. Because you can look at Zhao, and Hu Tao is pretty much the better version of Zhao, but Zhao's still the good character. He still does good AoE damage, he still like attacks big crowds, so he's still useful. Now what makes Tartaglia useful is his big damage, so once that's taken away from him, what does he have left? Now I threw this question at my Discord earlier today, because I actually honestly had this question: how far is it till Childe just pretty much becomes irrelevant in the game, right? Because you already see like Ella, you already see all these great main DPSs kind of slowly outclassing Childe, but he's still hanging on. Like he's still like, oh yeah, Childe's good. But what do you think is the breaking point for where Childe, just kind of becomes not a very good character? He becomes a Beidou, pretty much. He becomes a Xinglang, like a Razor. No, not really Razor. Razor's like still pretty good, but like, how long do you think Childe has until he finally becomes not viable anymore? Like, he is fun, he does good damage, but eventually that fades away, because there is power creep in the game. And I'm not like really against power creep, because I played Dragon Ball Z Dokkan Battle. I've done power creep like every single time I play gacha. It's just something new. It's not something new to me. Like, it's not something where like I get mad over, but it's like Childe is still hanging on by a thread, and eventually Childe will get surpassed and will become irrelevant in the game, that most characters in this game don't. Like, even you could say someone like Razor, like I think like, I don't know, like 10 patches, he probably can still be a really good DPS. But can you say the same for a Childe? Like, yeah, he does have good damage, but that's all he has. When Razor has, he has his E, he has his stand, he does good physical damage. That can't really be taken away from him. Like, that can't really be outclassed, because he does something unique. Ella does that too, but she's a cryo character. There's other electro characters in the game, but Razor still finds a way to solidify himself in like the top spots of a DPS. So let me know down in the comments what you think it will take for Childe to become irrelevant in the game, because that's honestly looking like a real case with power creep. So let me know down in the comments below. And so you already made it this far in the video, so why not subscribe? I'm probably going to be doing these like discussion-esque videos in the future, just because I want to throw out these topics that I usually I throw a small version, join that, but I just like asking these questions and just putting out these ideas into YouTube. So thanks, peace, accent out.